Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the Daily Live Extra. And we've got, got more things to talk about every day. There's things to talk about, which is good. It's why we're here every weekday in January. That's why we do live at 5 every day at 5 o'clock on Patreon. So check that out as well, so we can discuss these breaking stories. And last night, a name popped up, which had been mentioned over the weekend, but it looks like there's a little bit more on the bone now. Ghazi looks like he could be coming to Everton. First of all, it was music that he was coming for 15 million, which led to
people didn't believe it though, did
mental breakdowns everywhere.
No, people didn't.
I'll be honest, Baz. I would believe it. If
Did
Everton
ya?
did it, I'd believe it. No, if Everton did it, I'd believe it.
Yeah.
Never
ever.
But it looks like it's going to be a loan for the rest of the season. I don't know what will happen after that, if obviously everything goes through. But I'm not particularly feeling this one, I must admit. I don't think it's an area of the pitch we really need to strengthen, while there are other areas of the pitch that we are desperate to strengthen in. And listen, you can't always do the deals in the order you want them to do them in. Things fall in your lap and you've just got to do them. But for me, it just feels like the manner of the deal, how it's being done, or who is doing it, rather than the player himself.
The player himself doing the deal?
Well, no, the player himself coming to the club.
Yeah. We know who his agent is. And obviously that was, when it was mentioned as a part of the Luca Dean deal, which Everton totally bombed anyway. You didn't know whether they'd go away then, but obviously we know that Keir Yoruban's got the ear of Farhad Moshiri. We know that with most of our signings since Moshiri come in have been either done by him or they're his players. Hence probably why our recruitment hasn't been amazing.
Yeah.
But this one, I don't know. I mean, it's not a name that I would have gone, yeah, we definitely need to bring him in. If you're trying to look for positives, he's played in the Premier League. On his day, he's a good footballer. Can cross a ball, can beat a man 1v1. But there's a team that are 3 points ahead of us in the Premier League, and we've got a game in hand.
Yeah.
And he can't get in that side. So you have to look and go, why are we taking him? If we're just taking him merely for bodies' sake, so we've got an extra body in there, then all right. But like you said, there's other areas where you're hoping to strengthen. But I don't know, maybe he'll come in and have a Jesse Lingard effect on West Ham last year. Who knows?
That's not going to happen. Listen, I mean, we got Tom Davis looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the season, or the majority of the season.
Yeah.
He's had an operation. So that leaves us, we're light in centre midfield, and we know we need another centre midfielder anyway.
Longstaff's going to come, mate.
Get it done then. Don't piss about. Get it done. Because that's an area.
I suppose it's in Newcastle's court, though, isn't it?
Well, we need one though, and we're arsing about with a.
I think we need two.
No, I think we need two. And we
Tom
need
Davis out for the season, there or thereabouts. Delph done. So there's two of our midfielders gone. Gabaman, who knows? Apparently is available for loan. Gomez, is it miss? So you need. I think Everton needs two in there, but
we need. I just look at that area and don't think it's really that pressing. I think we spoke about it yesterday.
The wide players.
I think we've got. I think, and especially with. Again, that I look at it as well and think. I could see Ghazi coming in and playing, if he comes in as a number 10 more than anything else, because I think you buy fullbacks, like the fullbacks we've got, you want them to push on. They should be your width. You should be going a bit narrower. Maybe he's looking at El Ghazi for that, but a deal like this, just if the manager isn't really over fussy about it, doesn't really want it. And I know, like, again, it's that thing of like, well, don't really like the manager. But what are we down to now? We're down to the manager and the recruitment team, like the back recruitment team, because there isn't a front recruitment team. Looking at the players. Well, if they didn't choose this player, then, like you said, other people chose this player, and we've made this. How many times are we going to make this mistake? How many times are we going to do this? How many times are we going to bring players in that the manager doesn't want? Whether they're good players or not, if it's agents again forcing it on, or getting in the ear, then it's wrong. It's completely wrong. It's why the club is the mess it is, by stacking these players up that are not what we need or we want. And I know there'll be people out there, and I know El Ghazi scored 10 goals last season, all this kind of thing. Well, 6 were penalties, but that shouldn't be the point. And if you're looking for any sympathy, or you're looking for anything for the manager, just look at this and think, this is not helping. This is not. I don't think a deal like this will help the manager in terms of going forward. Maybe we don't want him to have all the power if he's in charge, but that's where a director of football does come in, a buffer does come in, someone in the middle. And maybe Mathew wasn't the right man, but the owner again, if it's him and an agent, then do me a favour. That's why the club's in the state it's in. We've allowed too much of that to go on, and maybe not always on the owner, but just too many chiefs. Just too many chiefs. That's all.
But say the idea's grown on the manager though. Have a loan. Have a look at this fella in the number 10, like you said. We haven't got a natural number 10 in our midfield, have we? Really, we haven't. If you look at it, this fella has played there for Ajax, but he has played mainly wide. And maybe the manager just thinks he's different to what we've got in the squad.
Is the manager going to have any choice?
I don't know. I without being right in the
No, I know, but that's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like you mentioned it before. This is something that happened to Carlo Ancelotti in a way last January as well. With the signing of Josh King, and it's.
But then he was too stubborn to use him, which was nonsense as well.
No, I'm not, and I'm not defending him for not using it. I just think you got to get your ducks in a row, and I just don't see this as a positive move. As I said, the player could come in, and he could do some good things. I just don't see it for the entire structure of Everton. I just don't see it as a positive thing.
What happens if Everton do go out and bring midfielder in as well? And then we get to the end of the window, and we're stronger in midfield.
No, I'm not talking about the sequence of events as such. I'd rather strengthen the areas first that we need to strengthen, and it is, if it is a loan, then then that makes it.
It is a loan.
No, I wouldn't be surprised with this.
It's a 5-month loan.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It's a 5-month loan.
No, but I wouldn't be surprised with this club. The way they work, that something isn't worked into a contract, because they're so stupid at the top end, and they listen to these agents that. Yes, it's a loan, but for me, I just don't like the way things are done at this football club, and this is another one of those things where
it's not going to change until the owner changes.
No, I know, but that
and he's not going anywhere.
That's not going to stop me from moaning.
No,
but that's not going to stop me moaning about him. It's not going to stop me having a go. It's the same with the manager. If people want to have a go with the manager, it's not going to stop me having a go at him. This is these deals. If the manager really wants him, then he'd really want him. But it doesn't feel like that. So I'm not really enthusiastic about this deal at all. It just strikes me as another one of those where, why don't you take on my clients? Because my other clients has now gone to Villa, so let's balance the books a little bit. No, I'm not. That's just why this club is a mess, in my eyes.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying we know what the owner's like. He's demonstrated bad decision after bad decision since he bought the club. So. And his biggest bad decision was not bringing his own team of people in to run the club. Everything else from there is being a product of that, of not doing things right at the very start, and sticking his nose in right the way along, instead of letting your employ people, let them do the job. Stop trying to force people on people, and if that's the case again with this one, then that's where we are, isn't it? It's, you know, we've got a manager in charge nobody wanted, and people still don't want him. We've got an owner that you haven't heard, you know, sight and sound from. Every now and again he pops up with a text to Jim White. So where is there is no leadership. There's nothing there. There's people at the club doing the best they can. If he's interfering, making it worse, then what are we supposed to do? We can sit here and moan all we want, but it looks like it's happening, doesn't it? So I'm just saying, if they get to the end of the window and they get the centre midfield player in they want, whether people like him or not, it's another thing. And they've got 2 full-backs, a midfielder and a winger, or a number 10 in. That, I'll be honest, that's probably at least one more than I thought they'd bring in this window. Because I honestly didn't think they'd bring a left and right back in this January. I really didn't. So I was hoping for a right back. Obviously, the left back situation's changed. So if we come out of it with 4 new players, then that's, I mean, let's be honest, as far as transfer windows go and getting bodies in, and certainly a January one, that's not a bad window.
I don't mind.
I don't want us to buy El Ghazi, not by any stretch, because it's not. If Everton are going to buy someone in that top end of the pitch, then for me it needs to be better than what we've got, like clearly better than what we've got. Do you know what I mean? You're going and getting someone who's 21, 22, who you're looking and going, he's going to make a massive difference. Like the links with Luis Diaz in the summer could have been, you know, he could have made a real big difference. But there's others out there as well. There's others out there who could come in and, you know, Anthony from Ajax or players like that where you're looking and thinking he could make a real difference for us. El Ghazi could make a difference for us this second half of the season for the simple reason that we've been that poor and we've had people out and we haven't got enough goals and things like that. He might make a positive impact on a short-term basis. But he's 26. And if Everton are going to buy players, for me, this would literally be a placeholder while you're looking around for, right, we're going after him in the summer or this player. But we are where we are at the moment, and there's no enthusiasm for anything at Everton at the moment because everybody's feeling the way they're feeling about our football club. That's not a good thing. And we've got to somehow drum up, in my opinion, some enthusiasm, because the team is going to need us in the second half of the season, because we're in a sticky situation. And if everyone's down on absolutely everything, then that's a rest. And let's be honest, right? If everyone continues to be down on everything and we all feel like this, it is going to filter onto the pitch. And then if the worst happens and Everton were relegated, we're the ones who suffer again. You know, these players will just get off and do whatever, and you know, the owner will be doing whatever, but we're the ones. So it's our football club, so we've somehow got to drum up the enthusiasm. But you're right, we shouldn't be letting our standards slip either. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that standards have been slipping since Managerial come in, sadly, and it shouldn't have been that. It should have gone the other way. The standards should have got higher.
It's the people who set the standards, isn't it? It's the people at the club who set the standards, and there's no one at the club setting the standards. It's as simple as that. Managerial just sits on a boat and isn't there day to day. So it's about setting the standards every day. And they're so fixated on the stadium. You know, it's beyond belief. While there's stuff going on in real life, this is what I don't get. If there was no football, the stadium was getting built, you know, then I could understand that. But there's a stadium getting built, but in real time things are going on, and it can't. Everyone now, a lot of people, a lot of fans. Maybe last season, when behind closed doors and everything else, and you're having a bad run, people will point to the stadium and go, "Well, that's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, isn't it?" But I don't think you can do that now, because you're living in real time, and you're seeing what's going on, and you're seeing the standards of the club, and you're going into a game like Saturday and thinking it's a 6-pointer. You know, Saturday is a 6-pointer against Norwich. You know, it's such an important game for us, and you know, it shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't feel like that. Everton, you know, shouldn't be in this situation. But we are. That's the realism of it, and I just can't get enthusiastic about a signing like this. And you know, I'm not against the player himself. He could come in and he could add a little bit of quality. the manager or whoever might think, well, we've got him now, so we'll use him and we won't, I know, managers will be given players from time to time, although Rafa Benitez does seem to like be one of the most stubborn people when it comes to these kind of things. If you've got a director of football and your director finds it for you and it's in the realms of what a manager wants, then I understand that. I get that. That's how it should be. We'll just have to see. But it's not. See, for a lot of Everton fans, this comes on top of the fact that obviously Luca Dean's going to Villa as well, and that fee is being agreed now. Mm-hmm. So it's compounded, isn't it? That to me is not really too much of a problem. I've made me peace with Luca Dean going because I think it's good business. Don't get me wrong, I think he's a terrific player and I think he'll make Villa stronger. But I've made me peace with that, but a lot of people haven't made their peace with that. So to have him leave there and then for us to get one of their squad players is a big slap in the face for a lot of our fans, and I think that's what compounds the anger and the frustration, isn't it? Is that, they can't make their peace with Luca Dean because, and that we all have our favourites or we all like players or whatever, I understand that. So for a lot of people, that really is hard. That'll be hard for them to... That'd be hard for them to swallow today.
Yeah, but it's not like El Ghazi's Luca Dean's replacement, is it?
No.
It's not like we're getting their squad left back for our and the only reason Aston Villa are getting Luca Dean is because we don't want him. There ain't a chance that they were ever coming for Luca Dean or he was ever leaving Everton for Aston Villa. So that's the thing that I look at. But he is a good player. But the lad doesn't want to be here. So if the lad doesn't want to be here, there's no point.
No, but people will say, well, why doesn't he want to be here? And the finger will be pointed at Rafa.
But how come everybody else wants to play?
No.
Getting on with the job.
Because he that's his decision, isn't it? That's his personal decision. That's it. So people will say he's been forced out. That's how people will respond to that.
Yeah, well, listen, like I've said before, if it was a different manager who people liked, they'd be siding with the manager for what's gone on. So it is what it is. And that's me saying that from I'm not exactly backing Rafa Benitez to the hilt. I'm just saying it is what it is. You're expected to do a job. You're paid by football club. You're expected to be professional and do a job and make yourself available and not pretend you're sick and things like this when you should be playing. And as far as I'm concerned, he's been unprofessional, and that's disappointing for me because I think he's a fan. I love Luca Dean, and it's sad when you see players doing that. It's your football club. But it is what it is. He's someone else's problem now. He's not ours, and we have to move on from that. El Ghazi's not a direct replacement. If El Ghazi was a left-back squad player for Villa, then I'd be fuming today. I'm not going to be fuming because we're getting an extra player in to the squad who may or may not make a difference. I wouldn't be happy if Everton was spending money on him and buying him because I think there's way better out there. So, listen, but... My surprise is that people are surprised. The club isn't run properly. It hasn't been run properly while Mashiri's been here. And we've seen this. This is just ongoing. It's ongoing. Look at the board. It's ongoing. And so while it's ongoing, things aren't going to be running smoothly. But we need a period of stability at some stage. I don't know where that comes, how we get it. Football clubs only start to recover once they're stable. And there might be more of this nonsense that goes on before we start to see an upturn. But I'm just more worried about getting players in and getting some wins on the board. Because we've won one game of football since September the 25th in the Premier League. Which is nonsense. Since the last time we played Norwich, we've won one game. And like someone said on our live the other week, the last time we won, I had shorts on and a t-shirt like Goodison, and we've won one game since then. It's freezing. It's January. So we have to go to Norwich on Saturday and get the 3 points. That's all. That's my focus. That's all I'm focused on. Like I said, if we come out of this window with 2 full-backs, a centre-back, an attacking midfield, a winger, whatever you want to call them, then I think we just have to go, that's not a bad window for us, really, and see where it takes us. El Ghazi wouldn't be on my list of players to go and get. But if Everton get him, I'll back the lad because he's going to come in and want to do well. You know, and that's what we have to do. I think if you shoot down on players before they even get here, they haven't got a chance, have they? Let them play.
No,
after 2 or 3 games, if you think he's no good, then you're entitled to.
I just don't like the situation. But
no, listen, that's got to stop. Got to stop. You getting kids Eurobans players, especially when they're not world beaters with great attitudes. You know, it's never a good thing to be in the pockets of an agent if that's the case. But we are where we are, aren't we? And like you say, we need results very quickly. Let's look at some of the comments. Kevin Woodruff said, why? What does he offer? There's getting bodies in, and there's getting bodies in who will benefit the squad. Where are we here? James Evans says he's better than Iwobi and got 10 goals last season. Okay. Dosbick says, hi, Ped and Baz, let's take the lad. John McCormick says we need a strong centre-back before we need a 5th winger. Griff says we need midfielders. We do, don't we? I mean, that's quite clear. Quite clear we do.
Yeah.
Olav says, can he take set pieces? We've been terrible on set pieces all season. Kevin Durkin makes a good point. El Ghazi in, then Gordon will be dropped, and he's our most improving player. Do you think that could hinder the progress of Anthony Gordon?
Yeah, definitely. And don't get me wrong, there will be a period where Anthony Gordon will find himself sitting on the bench, especially we've got all our players fit. Townsend, Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Gray, because there is a pecking order. But I suppose that's the weird thing about. Don't get me wrong. If you've got a set of players and they're all given a fair crack at the whip, it's whoever's playing well, isn't it? It's whoever's doing the business on the training pitch, and it's up to him to respond. But I think it's always the easy thing to drop young lad, and that, I suppose that's the weird thing for El Ghazi. I don't think if he was to come to the club, he's in no means guaranteed the first team place. Absolutely no guarantees at all.
Not at all.
Maybe you'll think he'll have more of a chance than he would at Villa, because Villa have got Coutinho in, and let's be honest, Coutinho's going to play every game for Villa. It's a high profile loan deal which could lead to him signing permanently. He's wanted out of Barcelona, and obviously if it's somewhere like Villa where he's basically going to get a free role essentially, playing for Gerrard, then but at Everton, he might get I suppose it'll be a fair crack at the whip, but it would be seen very silly to gamble on the future of our player. And the end of the day, if the fans see, this is another thing. And this is not Rafa Benitez's fault as such, but this is another thing. If it comes down to people picking El Ghazi or Gordon, people will want Gordon to play.
Of course.
Because it's not he's a long term, and he's the future of the club in many ways.
Yeah.
El Ghazi's a short term thing. Manager might come out and go, well, devil's advocate, there'll be opportunities, because look at the injuries we've had so far this season. Might work out that way, of course, but it's another thing. It feels like just another thing. If you can imagine a situation if El Ghazi played and Gordon's on the bench, it's another thing to have a go at the manager at. The manager can have all the information. You can go, he trained amazingly all weekend training or whatever, but it's just like another thing, another stick to beat the manager with. And what you said before is absolutely right. That for the second part of the season, we have to pull our weight as fans in terms of like getting behind the club. That becomes increasingly more difficult when you feel as a fan like obstacles are being put in front of you. We did the phone in on Monday and we did stuff yesterday. Got messages from Kane, someone going the away games and saying it's becoming increasingly harder to find the motivation.
Of course it is.
Someone told me today who doesn't miss an away game that they're going to stop going to away games for a while now, because they've got other things that they need to concentrate on in their life, and it's that, and people go, well, other people will go, I know, but it's a general consensus that is just seeping in seeping into the fan base, and it's not like this is what I go back to my original point. This is not a thing of we're crap. This comes back to why we're crap. Why this situation has been allowed to grow and grow and grow. And Rafa Benitez will probably tell us, and he does tell us, well, I'm trying to change that. I'm trying to change that philosophy. But if you're trying to change that philosophy, why are we getting a player? Why does it seemingly feel like a player from Villa is being moved into our squad so they don't have a problem to deal with, and then suddenly becomes a player for us? A player trading happens all the time, and I appreciate that. And it happens in this way all the time. But we've been trying to get away from this. And a month ago, we were told there was going to be an internal review. It shouldn't be an internal review. It should be an independent review. But it feels like this is the kind of thing that if you did a proper review of the club, that the person will come in and go,
Stop
what are you doing that for? Stop doing that. You had a director of football. And doesn't matter how good or bad he was. Why are you continuing to listen to this fella who has brought you nothing but
misery?
Well, not misery, but I would imagine if you were to add up all the wages of players that have been brought into the club,
he takes from it.
I think you'd find, we're talking, when you look at the stuff that goes on in the government, PPE deals and all that kind of thing. There's a certain self-interest in some of this. I find. Take that player. How much? What's my cut? Hang on, you said yesterday. Why you get the cut?
We know that though, don't we?
But that's the problem, though.
Same with the Hammers deal and all that.
That's the problem, isn't it?
Fingers in pies. Paul's watching from Irish Football Fan TV. Hello, Paul.
Right, Paul.
Says the lads, loving the new setup, lads.
Stop talking to Brighton players. you know.
Ask him to come here again. Come and do us a favour at the back. Adam Brooks wants us to bring back my guy Gay. I mean, He doesn't.
Why wouldn't you want to bring back my guy Gay?
Idrissa. Bring back Idrissa, I would. Right now, for the end of the season. Mike Flynn says, El Ghazi on loan's not a bad thing. He'll be a better option than a Wobie.
But I've heard this a couple of times. In fact, I've heard this in our comments. A Wobie's not an option, though. A Wobie doesn't even play for us that much anymore. He barely plays. And the mad thing is, by the time El Ghazi can play, a Wobie will be back from the African nations. So,
yeah.
Carl
says El Ghazi on loan isn't a bad sign, and we're desperate for a bit of squad depth. Digmore FC TV says, got to get on with it, boys. We aren't the club we were, so whoever we buy must give them our full support. Kevin says, nobody likes the situation, Ped. We're all miffed off with it, but we need wins and we need to move up the table right now. On Patreon, Phil says, what does he bring that we haven't already got? We'll see, Phil, won't we, I guess. RCO2 says, now we've sold Dean, according to profit and loss, shouldn't we have a fair bit of money to spend on more players? I get it pays for Patterson and Michalenko, but surely we're only paying a certain amount out. Well, we are, but you still got to have the player who you can get. We might not be able to get the player we want, might we? And rather than just blowing it on anyone for anyone's sake, which is why people are kicking off now over El Ghazi. See, I would have less of an issue if we've got our eye on someone else for the summer, and this is literally just to tide us over. I believe Villa are paying half of his wages and something like that, apparently, according to different sources. Villa are paying the wages as well. So it's a no risk, really, for us kind of thing. You're getting a player in on reduced wages. He can be a squad player. We'd be moan. We've got the state of that bench. Well, is there a case of him when he's on the bench with a few players back looking and going, actually, our bench is decent? He's a different option to what we've seen. Maybe, I don't know. Like I said, buying him permanently is a massive no from me at this stage. Getting him on loan, I'm not made up with it, but I'll accept it because we probably do need more. We need a better bench.
Can we just get over this fact that he scores goals, though? He scored 4 goals last season, so let's
but people said Gylfi's 8 goals,
but let's not
6 of them are penalties or whatever. 4 penalties.
No argument here. Yeah. But let's not cloud ourselves by thinking he got 10 goals. He's got 6 penalties last season, and I'm not using that as a stick to beat him. I'm just,
if he did suck our one against Brighton, we might have been all right.
I'm just saying he scored 4 goals. He didn't score 10 goals. He scored 4 goals. 6 penalties on top of that.
That's fine. Confidence.
Get penalties here.
Nathaniel Clancy says, what a name, says players like him and Longstaff are fine as long as they don't cost anything more than 5 million. 15 million on the other hand would be shocking business.
They cost 5 million.
Absolutely.
No, I wouldn't pay 5 million for him.
But we're not. He's coming on loan.
But I'm answering the question.
He's coming on loan. Anthony says, if it's to be believed, Mashiri is bringing El Ghazi to the club against the wishes of the manager and lining the pockets of his super agent friends and also adding unnecessary wages to our budget and FFP, then surely we're going to be stuck in financial hardship until the stadium is built and Farah can sell up to the highest bidder with mismanagement like that from all people, and accountants. It is mad that he's an accountant and our books are terrible. Phil says, as I see it, priority positions now is number 10 and a striker. Other positions, yes, we maybe could strengthen, but let's concentrate on what we need. So I think it's a centre midfield player and a centre back. But he can play at 10, El Ghazi. Derek says, I can't believe we want to get El Ghazi at all. Just another Iwobi purchase. Buying him, but we're not buying him. He's a loan, Dexy. We'll go back to Villa in the summer. He's a loan. Thomas says, see, this is why I sort of want Rafa to stay at the club. Apparently the owner wants El Ghazi, Rafa doesn't. That to me screams how finally we have someone sensible at our club telling the owners no. I agree the results on the field are not acceptable, but hopefully with our players back we can get some points on the board. We need someone to fix this club, and that was thinking. And was thinking today, like who else we could get who wouldn't break them. Carlo didn't break it because he didn't care. And is that a case? Is that an argument that trying to look for a positive on Benitez that he will? In general, go against the owner's wishes.
Yeah,
not owner's wishes, but he will challenge
we said that from day one.
More than what Carlo would.
Said that from day one. He wants to make it his own, and that's part of that. See, I can't really get on board and sit here going Benitez out, because I know what the problem is. The problem is the same problem that it was at the beginning of December. That problem hasn't gone away. The problem is the hierarchy at the football club. That's the problem at Everton. The decisions they make just lead into Rafa Benitez. They give him the job. They're the problem. If you get another manager in, you're still gonna, and you're right, and that's where you might be right. This fella is a challenger. He is challenging them all. People don't like that, of course. They don't want that. They don't want Rafa Benitez to have control of Everton Football Club. And I do genuinely believe that he is trying to change things, as in like the squad round and trying to get maybe the older players out and get younger, hungry, fresh players. There might be, the only slight problem with that is you might have to go from a Digne to a Michalenka, and there will be short-term hurt because there's a difference in quality.
Yeah.
But the age difference is a lot more acceptable for a football club. And there might be that thing of like, well, you've got Alan who's 29 and you replace him for a 24-year-old Longstaff. Not in the short term, but do you know what I mean? I do believe he's trying to change that setup of this. What have we been saying for ages? You know what I mean? Like if the manager had Brantway fit, would he play him at the back? Would he go, well, you know, like we were saying yesterday, it's time now that Michael Keane, you're 29. Everton are safe in the Premier League. We're not, but you know, when hopefully we do get safe, I'm going to start playing Brantwaite and Godfrey because that's the future, and I'm going to give him experience. That could happen easily, you know, and what, you know, will he do that? Well, we'll have to wait and see. You know, if Patterson comes in at right back and Michalenko plays at left back, and he's playing Anthony Gordon, then it suddenly feels like there's a bit more youth, and if that works and we can get behind it, then you can say, well, he's had a positive effect. And I do honestly believe he looks at it as in like, again, I've just seen Guillaume Balaguer there on Twitter getting involved with Everton fans. That it is
fuming over
of the 1 star.
The 1 star.
But it is. This is the pro. Like a month ago, or 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, there was a clear understanding what we all felt about what was going wrong at Everton. And suddenly, in the last 2-3 weeks, it's all the manager's fault. I can't get on board with that. I can't suddenly go, it's all the manager's fault, when it's not.
It's because what we're seeing on the pitch is...
No, and I appreciate that,
terrible.
but I do appreciate that. But that comes from above. That comes from the people who are making the decisions, the long-standing decisions. And I agree, Benitez is part of the problem. But if Benitez went tomorrow...
Oh, it wouldn't all
the big influential problem would still be there.
Yeah.
And that to me is the fundamental. And you can't chase an owner out the club, but I think what you've got to highlight the fact that there's definitely something wrong with our football club, and it's not the manager as such. He is a problem, but he's not the problem. And as I say, I don't think anything's changed in the last 5 or 6 weeks. I really don't. We've won one more game of football in the Premier League, but I don't think anything else has changed. I'm still seeing the same problems. They've removed brands. Well, what do they do? It's
not great, is it? Richard Parr says Mashiri signing a crap player in one position we're most well stocked in. Classic garbage Everton. RCO2 says I hope we are looking at Zakari and Niakate, Brennan Johnson, but in reality I'd be happy with Tarkovsky, Longstaff and Lingard. Are my standards too low, or would they fill gaps in the squad? I don't say his standards are too low, but I'd rather Brennan Johnson, I'm hit and miss with at the moment, but Zakari and Niakate would definitely improve us. Bill Cummings, I don't get bringing in El Ghazi when we're desperate for mobility in midfield and a leader at the back. Dominic Hughes says, please God knows my reaction to hearing El Ghazi being linked with us. Genuinely can't think of a signing which is less inspiring. We are desperate for a centre midfielder and centre back cover. Sign a winger as our big money signing in the summer. Nathaniel says, so is El Ghazi definitely a Mashiri signing? Well, I can't sit here and say definitely, because if the manager takes him, he must think he can use him. But I imagine it wasn't Rafa Benitez's first choice, let's put it that way. Stuart Thompson said, I remember the summer transfer window when we bought Townsend and Gray, and our fan base were up in arms. Lord knows where we'd be without them. They raised our standards, just shows the shower of rubbish we have to move on. Egos and lack of ability. I think that's a really good point, Stuart, is that I remember, because I was on Twitter regularly in the summer, the outcry when Andros Townsend and Damari Gray's names were mentioned. The club's finished, but these are terrible, worst players ever, blah, 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 blah. It was unbelievable, and they hadn't even put an Everton shirt on and said hello yet. And they've been our best 2 players this season, so it just shows fans don't know everything.
But they are the manager's purchases, though.
Yeah, but I just think it's a dangerous precedent when people start going the worst player ever, the worst signing ever, because you look like a dickhead if the player's all right.
But I don't think,
and if he isn't all right,
I don't think loads of people are saying that, though. I'm certainly not saying that.
I'm reading the comments.
No, I don't think. I think El Ghazi is for me, it's just like a symptom of what's going on at the club.
I just think we've got to back our players. I don't like it any more than you do. I think he wouldn't, like I've said, the manager wouldn't have ever been my choice, and I would never be chasing El Ghazi. But the lad he's a decent footballer. He might offer something for the last few months. If we were signing him, yeah, I think my point of view would be different. But alone just for like a few months, I'm still looking at the other 2 positions and thinking, that's what we need. That's what we need. I just find it, the one thing I must admit, the one thing I do find mad is, like I said before, if he was one who you go, he's in our team. Yeah. He's that good, he's in our team. Yeah. It's the fact that, when you went through it yesterday, we've got Townsend, Gray, Gordon, Iwobi, if you like. We've got Calvert-Lewin and we've got Richarlison already, and that's... Rondon, if you want to throw him into the mix. But we've got 7. There's been times we've had 2 forward players in our squad. We've got 7, and now we're about to add number 8.
We've got 3 centre midfielders,
and that's the thing.
We've got 3 centre midfielders.
That's what I can't.
And we want to play. And we, as fans, we want to play 3.
I'm just looking and going. We've got 8. We're gonna have 8 forwards in our squad, and we've got 3 centre midfielders. No. That to me, see, that's where I look and I go, It doesn't really make any sense to me. The lad is talented. If you look at him,
no, he's a typical North African footballer.
Lovely feet,
loads of skill,
of ability, not consistent.
Probably very light on the pitch, so easy to knock off the ball.
6'1", though. He's
very typical North African player, but
it's not what we need.
It's not what we. It's not the priority.
Yeah,
because he could, like you said, come in and go, well, actually, you might have all these players, but actually, I'm better, or I could be a number 10 in a 3.
Yeah.
So fair play. I'm not gonna write him off. And the minute he's on a pitch, I'm gonna back him, of course. But you're right. For me, and again, it's not the right market. But I know people. We need to send. Our problems are conceding goals. They're not scoring goals. We can score goals.
We do, yeah.
We can score goals.
And we haven't even had our best 2 goal scorers.
Our problem is defend. If we could defend, put it this way, right? If we could defend, then we could easily win, 1-0 here, 1-0 there,
easily.
or 2-0 or whatever. But
easily.
But because we're so bad, because we give away probably a goal every other game via a set piece, how can you move forward?
Well, we score. The last time we didn't score was Brentford, wasn't it? And we should have scored that day. So in that time, we played Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, scored past all them. Scored at Palace when we were crap. Scored 2 against Brighton. Scored 3 against Hull at the weekend. We're scoring goals. But we're conceding stupid amounts of goals, and so the issue isn't are we getting them. You're right. If you could add a good centre back and another midfield and fullbacks that stop crosses, then the worst you're getting is 0-0. Innit? Yeah. Which is what the base Allardyce used to work from. We don't concede, we don't lose the game. And you've got goals at the other end of the pitch. And that's how you start turning results. It's how, to be honest, it's how Arsenal got on a winning run.
And by the way, we're not conceding goals because we're this super amazing football team that's dead open. We're conceding the most basic kind of goals, set pieces and crosses.
See, maybe they should be going for Tarkowski in this window.
Maybe they should be. Chris Wood, I'd go for Chris Wood.
He's on his way to Newcastle. That's another forward. Centre-back, because a commander, isn't he? But I think that and a centre. I'd be going for 2 centre midfielders in this window. That would be my priority after the 2 full-backs, 2 centre midfielders. Because I think the other thing as well is if you get your midfield right, it takes a lot of pressure off your back 4 as well. And that helps your centre-backs. But we're not in charge of who we're getting, are we? Professor Poopy Pants, great name, says, any idea what his wages are? No, but no Villa, or apparently Villa, they're covering them as well, covering a part of them. Would you prefer Ross Barkley to El Ghazi? Yes or no?
Yes. Okay. I'll be honest, I would. No, because I think he plays in a position that that is more applicable for what we need.
Okay.
And he isn't like the other players. Take away the fact who Ross Barkley is. If you're going to talk about a type of player, then I think Ross Barkley's more the type of player.
Yeah, definitely. But then Ross Barkley would cause issues, wouldn't he?
Oh, because listen, this club's
don't want Barkley.
Toxic. Exactly. Just pile it on top.
Yeah. Comments are just flying there. Far too many there. Paul Gold says brings goals from midfield. Tom Riddle says to say Iwobi's not an option. Silly pad. He may not play that much, but he's always an option off the bench.
But he's not, though, is he? He doesn't play.
El Ghazi's probably a better option.
But Iwobi doesn't play. The manager stopped using him. Don't know if anyone noticed this in the last few weeks, but the manager has stopped completely using Iwobi. He's not an option. I don't see him as an option because the manager has stopped using him. There's been games where the manager's brought on 2 subs in games we've been beaten and not put Iwobi on the pitch. So I don't really see Iwobi as an option. I think the manager gave him a chance. He never took it, like he hasn't took it under any of the managers. Yeah. And he didn't even start for Nigeria yesterday. No, I know.
And I wouldn't always take that. Dominic Hughes says, Boss Bacher, Jacket Ped.
Thank you.
Sharp. David Spoward says, even if he's only used for 10 or 15 minute cameos, it's that time that could be being used to show pathway for the likes of Dobbin. They waste the resources when other areas are begging for attention. Pokey Jedi said El Ghazi scored against us last season. Can't even get in the Villa starting 11. So this isn't just no mark squad depth signing. He isn't going to get in ahead of Gray. They scored a winner, then he curled it into the top corner at the park end. In the edge of the box.
I'd forgotten.
In fact, he scored the year before at Villa Park.
Oh, yeah.
Just 2-0.
That's how I'm getting him.
Abigail said played 96 games for Villa, 20 goals, 11 assists. It's probably better than any numbers we've got. But yeah, someone just said that whole show, Tazul, a whole show dedicated to El Ghazi. Well done, lads. Yeah, where me spoons calls it says he woeful. There you go. There you go. And the golfer says El Ghazi to score on the last day of the season to keep us up. And Carl Patterson says, Ped, please cheer up. I'm depressed about my club and seeing you so down is making me worse.
I'm not here to affect your emotions, I'm sorry.
Liam Formby says Mitrovic, Fulham. No. There's loads in the Championship. They won 7-0 again last night. My man, Marco, continuing to tear it up. Yeah, let's just see what happens, eh? Listen, it is what it is. As long as Everton can bring in, if they can bring in a couple of centre midfield players, certainly one. I'd want better than Longstaff, of course I would. But if we could bring in 1-2 centre midfield players this window, and that is a big ask, then I think the window will have been quite good for Everton. If Everton brought 2 more in as well as El Ghazi, bringing 5 players in January is very un-Everton-like. Marcel Brands wouldn't have done anything like this window.
It is very un-Everton-like, but
we do. It's needed.
You look at the table.
It's needed.
Isn't it? And we wouldn't normally sell to a rival either in January or any time. So it's all a bit on-Everton. Maybe
for the better.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's.
We've been trying Everton different one way, and it hasn't ever worked. So
we're trying a new Everton. New Everton. Relegation Everton. It's a new one. Going back to the 90s. They said go back to the 90s and see what happened there. They didn't realise they were going for the 94-98 version.
But that's the case. We had 2 staying up and an FA Cup and Europe, so I'll take that right now. Yeah, there you go. Right, we're leaving it there. We've done long enough on El Ghazi, I think. Hit the like.
It's going to be so amazing.
It might be. Hit the like button on your way out. Much appreciated. Make sure that you subscribe as well. And if you want more videos, including daily live videos, join us.
We'll be back at 5 o'clock.
It is Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we will be back at 5 o'clock.
We'll be back at 5 o'clock.
When no doubt the subject of Anwar El Ghazi will pop up again.
Oh, what's about Luca Dean then?
Luca Dean, maybe. Sean Longstaff. All of that. So, cheers for watching. See you later.